From Bryan Cranston wearing a suit filled with real bees to Malcolm almost being a completely different age, these are things you never knew about Malcolm in the Middle, starting with the show's biggest mystery. This is one of the longest-running jokes in the entire show, and most people never even noticed it. Throughout Malcolm in the Middle, you never actually hear the family's last name. Not once. It's intentionally avoided in every situation where it would normally come up. School records, official documents, even major life moments. The show always finds a way to cut it off or skip over it entirely. What makes this so interesting is that it wasn't an accident. The writers did this on purpose as a running gag, turning something small into a hidden detail that lasted the entire series. There is one tiny clue though. If you look closely at the pilot episode, you can briefly spot the name Wilkerson on France's tag. But officially, the family never had a confirmed last name. And if you thought that was a clever detail, the next one explains why the entire show feels so real in the first place. Number 9. The show was based on real life. Malcolm in the Middle feels chaotic, unpredictable, and sometimes a little too real. That's because it kind of is. The show's creator, Linwood Boomer, based the series on his own childhood. He grew up as a middle child in a family full of boys. And like Malcolm, he was placed in advanced classes because of his intelligence. Even some of the most random moments in the show came directly from his life. For example, the scene where Lois cuts Hal's hair at the breakfast table was inspired by something his parents actually did. What makes this so interesting is that it explains why the show feels so authentic. It's not just written chaos, it's remembered chaos. And if you think that authenticity shaped the characters, the next fact shows how one major character almost ended up completely different. Number 8. Malcolm was supposed to be much younger. When Malcolm in the Middle was first being developed, the main character wasn't meant to be the Malcolm we know today. Originally, Malcolm was written as a 9-year-old, but everything changed when Frankie Muniz auditioned for the role. He was older than what the script called for, and the producers liked him so much that they rewrote the character to fit him instead. In fact, they ended up avoiding mentioning Malcolm's exact age altogether for a while, just to make the change feel natural. What makes this so interesting is how much it affected the show. A younger Malcolm would have felt very different, less independent, less sarcastic, and probably less relatable to older viewers. By aging him up, the show gained a completely different tone, one that made it stand out from every other sitcom at the time. And if you thought casting decisions changed the show, the next fact proves the actors themselves went way further than expected. Number 7. Bryan Cranston did his own stunts, including the bee scene. Before he became world famous for Breaking Bad, Bryan Cranston was already doing things most actors would never agree to. He performed almost all of his own stunts on Malcolm in the Middle. And one of the craziest examples? The bee suit. In one episode, Hal ends up covered in a suit filled with real, live bees. And instead of using a stunt double, Cranston did it himself. He later revealed that he was only stung once, in a very unfortunate place.
I'm wearing it and I got stung. I actually had to move around. I went, I think I got stung.
What makes this unforgettable is how committed he was to the role. Hal's chaotic energy didn't just come from acting. It came from Cranston fully embracing the madness. And if you think that level of dedication is impressive, the next fact shows that sometimes the best ideas didn't even come from the writers. Number 6. A child came up with one of the show's best episodes. This is one of the most surprising facts about the entire series. One of Malcolm in the Middle's most creative episodes wasn't even written by a professional writer. The idea for If Boys Were Girls came from an 11-year-old girl, Alexandra Kozensky, who was the niece of the show's costume designer. She pitched a full story idea imagining what life would be like if Lois had daughters instead of sons, and the creators loved it so much that they turned it into a real episode. She even received a story by credit, which is incredibly rare for someone that young. What makes this so interesting is how well the idea fits the show. It's creative, character-driven, and perfectly captures the chaos of the family dynamic, just from a different angle. It proves that sometimes the best ideas don't come from experience, they come from perspective. And if you thought that was unexpected, The next fact shows that one major character was designed very differently from the rest. Number 5, Francis was the only brother without a talent. Every brother in Malcolm in the Middle has something that makes them stand out. Malcolm is the genius. Reese, despite everything, turns out to be a surprisingly talented cook. Dewey shows musical ability and emotional intelligence, but Francis, nothing. The creators intentionally made him the only brother without a clear talent. Instead, his character is defined by rebellion, bad decisions, and constantly trying to figure things out. What makes this interesting is how realistic it feels. Not everyone has a clear gift, and Francis represents that uncertainty. He's not the smartest, not the most skilled, but he's the one trying to find his place. And if you thought casting choices defined these characters, the next fact flips one of the biggest dynamics in the show. Number 4, Malcolm was actually older than Reese in real life. On the show, Reese is clearly the older brother. He's bigger, more dominant, and constantly picks on Malcolm like a typical older sibling. But in real life, it's the complete opposite. Frankie Muniz is actually older than Justin Burfield by a few months. It's a small detail, but it completely flips how you see their dynamic. What makes this so interesting is how convincing the show makes it feel. Through acting, writing, and character design, Reese feels like the older brother without question. It's one of those behind-the-scenes details that reminds you how much of TV is illusion. And if you thought acting made things believable, the next fact shows just how far one actress had to go to make her role feel real. Number 3, Lois learned how to act birth scenes from TV. Lois goes through multiple pregnancies on the show, which means a lot of intense birth scenes. And you'd assume that Jane Kaczmarek knew exactly how to portray that realistically. But she didn't. In real life, all of her children were born through C-sections, so she had no experience with natural childbirth. Instead, she studied scenes from other TV shows and movies, and recreated what she saw. What makes this so interesting is how convincing it was. Most viewers would never question it. It's a reminder that great acting isn't always about personal experience. Sometimes it's about observation. And if you think that's surprising, the next fact connects Malcolm in the Middle to one of the biggest shows ever made. Number 2, Aaron Paul almost played Francis. Before he became Jesse Pinkman in Breaking Bad, Aaron Paul was trying to land a role on Malcolm in the Middle. And not just any role, he wanted to play Francis. He was so interested that he even got a copy of the script and pushed for an audition. But the producers never gave him the chance. Instead, the role went to Christopher Masterson. What makes this so interesting is how different things could have been. If Aaron Paul had landed that role, there's a very real chance he never would have ended up starring alongside Bryan Cranston in Breaking Bad years later. It's one of those what-if moments that completely changes how you look at both shows. And somehow, even that isn't the most surprising connection between Malcolm in the Middle and Breaking Bad. Number 1, Breaking Bad has a Malcolm in the Middle ending. This is easily one of the wildest facts connected to the show. There's actually an alternate ending to Breaking Bad where everything that happened was just a dream. And not just anyone's dream, Hal's. In this version, Bryan Cranston wakes up in bed next to Lois, terrified, and starts describing his entire experience as a meth dealer, working with a man-child. Lois, completely unimpressed, tells him to go back to sleep. And just like that, Breaking Bad becomes a Malcolm in the Middle storyline. What makes this so unforgettable is how perfectly it fits. It's ridiculous, unexpected, and somehow completely believable within Hal's chaotic personality. It's not canon, but it's one of the most fun crossovers ever created. Those were 10 things you probably never knew about Malcolm in the Middle. From hidden details to behind-the-scenes secrets that completely change how you see the show. But now we want to hear from you. Which fact surprised you the most? And is there one we missed that fans should know about? And if you want more deep dives into your favorite sitcoms, make sure you're subscribed to Malcolm Rewind. Now that you know these fun facts, it is time for some of the most awkward moments in the show's history. Click the end screen to keep on watching.